Radio right now. Joining us on the line, as I previously mentioned from the Outsider Sports Show, Clint Schweitzer and Noah Groniger. How are you two doing this morning?
Cody, we're doing great. Great to be reunited since our days of hosting GTV at Winnetagah High School. It's great to be on with you. Hope you guys are having a good morning. Of course, those of us with normal jobs can't sleep past 8 o'clock on a weekend anyway, so here we are.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we haven't hosted a show. We haven't been on the radio or anything like this together since, I guess, you were 18 and I was probably 17 years old. Yeah,
crazy, isn't it?
How far we've come. I'm hosting a Saturday morning show. Yay! I've successfully completed my life. Well, first question for you guys. I saw that you'd written online, you were talking about Alex Smith and the possibility of an extension for him coming into this year. But he had his best year as a Chief, 23 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, led the team to a 9-0 start and the playoffs, following what was a complete dumpster fire the year before. You still don't have faith he can get the job done?
No, I don't, Cody. I mean, if you look at that playoff loss, nobody is putting any blame on Alex Smith. He had 378 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. But if you look at the game more in depth, you go the first 31 minutes and 16 seconds, he had 231 yards, 4 touchdowns, no turnovers. But if you go deeper into it, the last 28 minutes and 44 seconds of the game, he had 147 yards, no touchdowns, and a lost fumble. I mean, you've got to come up clutch. You've got to show up in the big moments, and Alex Smith did not.
Well, you guys the Chiefs talk about bringing in a quarterback of the future. They draft Aaron Murray this year, but they didn't take him until the 5th round. Is that a pretty good indicator, at least in your opinion, that Alex Smith will be back under center in 2015?
I think it does. I think the draft of Aaron Murray adds some intrigue to the situation. Obviously, we've heard rumors in the last month or so that negotiations aren't going well. Alex Smith may want upwards of $18 million a year. Is there a quarterback of the future on the roster? Tyler Bray's there, of course. Chase Daniel, kind of a perennial backup type guy, and now with Aaron Murray, I don't know that you can count on that. Obviously, you've got guys like Kaepernick and Russell Wilson that have been taken in the 2nd and 3rd rounds. I don't know if you can count on that for Murray. I like Murray. I like the pick. It adds some intrigue. But if Alex Smith is going to want, an $18 million contract, which is, Peyton Manning, Jay Cutler, Tony Romo, Matt Stafford type money, I don't know if you're going to want to do that, especially in the salary cap situation the Chiefs are in. Alex Smith's the guy that needs to be surrounded with elite talent. You're not going to be able to do that if you're locking him up for 4 years and that kind of money. And obviously it cripples you from finding your quarterback of the future if you're stuck with another 4-year contract, just like the Chiefs did with Matt Castle, which they refused to move on for him until it was far too late.
Well, if Alex Smith is in fact the guy you want leading the franchise, or at least the organization wants to be leading the franchise for the foreseeable future, why hasn't he signed yet? Wouldn't it be in their best interest to lock that up and get that conversation off the table?
I think it would be for the Chiefs' peace of mind. I know that the Chiefs want him in there. They want him locked in. I don't know if it's going to be a money situation for Alex Smith. Obviously, if he wants $18 million and the Chiefs are somewhere here around 13, 12, 11. I mean, Tom Brady makes $11.5 million a year. So maybe in this scenario, Alex should sign for about 4 or 5, given what he's done in his career.
The money obviously goes up as people move on, but the last time the Chiefs took a mid-round draft pick with some hype was Brody Croyle out of Alabama. Don't you think Chiefs fans are once again just getting too far ahead of themselves, trying to anoint Aaron Murray the savior of the franchise?
Yeah, I kind of think they are. I mean, you take a 5th-round pick, you can't expect a lot from that. There's only so many Tom Bradys and Russell Wilsons out there. We had Ricky Stanzi, he flamed out. We had Brody Croyle, he flamed out. I wanted the Chiefs to move up and be more aggressive and take a Johnny Manziel. Instead, they just sat pat at 23 and were just praying that he got there possibly, or possibly even just passing on him if he did get to 23. But I think they need to be aggressive and they need to draft a first-round quarterback at some point. It's been 32 years now.
Let's stick with some of the draft talk. Manziel obviously falling. I think it was probably one of the it was one of the coolest drafts I got. There was a lot of suspense in that draft, a lot of build-up to that pick at 22. If Manziel had been sitting there at 23, is he the no-brainer pick for the Chiefs?
I don't think you can say no-brainer with this Chiefs organization. To me, to a lot of us, yes, Johnny Manziel would have been the no-brainer, but the Chiefs haven't drafted a first-round quarterback, like I said, in 32 years, so I think they probably would have moved down, tried to gather more picks, or just taken D Ford and let Johnny Manziel just go to the Browns at 26, because that's what this organization has shown, just a lack of knowledge and understanding of needing a franchise quarterback.
Well, you mentioned D Ford, the guy who was left there for him, and John Dorsey claiming he's the second best pass rusher, at least on their board in this draft, taken in the first round, but he doesn't project to be a starter for the Kansas City Chiefs. Are you comfortable with Casey using such a high pick on a guy that will essentially be just a role player, a guy that will come in and maybe work on some of the passing down?
Oh, yeah, I think you're going to see D Ford in a lot of the sub-rush packages here in 2014, and you're right. He is not going to start in 2014 minus, unless an injury occurs, which we did see last year to Hully and Houston, and you saw what happened to the defense when those guys went down. I think that this is kind of a fail-safe if that were to occur, and after this year, I think Tamba Hully's contract's going to be just too much, and I think Tamba Hully will not be a Chief in 2015, which is going to leave room for D Ford to then hopefully come in and take that spot in the future. And I like the D Ford pick. I think that you can never have too many pass rushers. We saw the New York Giants go with this model for years, and it got them 2 Super Bowls. I like D Ford, maybe a little undersized. As far as weight, needs to get in the weight room and bulk up a little bit for taking on NFL offensive lines. But we'll see where D Ford goes in the future. I think that the more reps he gets this year, the better he'll be in the future.
Talking with Clint Schweitzer, Noah Groninger of the Outsider Sports Show. Going back a little bit to the Alex Smith extension, if the Chiefs do decide eventually not to extend him out and go without him, it could fall back to eventually lose out on him as a whole as it goes down. When the Chiefs fall back, do you think it's going to go back to 2 years ago, or do you have faith that someone will happen to fall in the draft? Because he might end up stuck back at the top order of the draft, and there's not a guy like Andrew Luck. You get right back to the top, and you have to draft an offensive lineman. Are you worried about that scenario?
Yes, I'm worried about that scenario every single day, that the Chiefs will just draft another offensive lineman to replace the guys that they let go for nothing, like Brandon Albert and John Asamoah, who left in free agency. They didn't trade them last year when they had the chance. I want them to trade Alex Smith right now, because I definitely do not want a contract extension for a mediocre quarterback, and I don't want to let him go for nothing when we gave up too much in the first place by giving 2 second-round picks for this mediocre guy.
Do you think that there could be some interest on the open market for Alex Smith if it turns out that the contract negotiations aren't going anywhere with Kansas City?
Yeah, Cody, hey, there's a lot of teams out there that want to go 8-8 and that want to get back up into that type of realm and to maybe have a shot to lose a playoff game. There's a lot of teams out there that would love that opportunity. You think about teams like the Houston Texans that are starved for quarterbacks right now, and again, this would have been a scenario that I think should have played out maybe during the draft. I don't know if they took any phone calls about this, or we haven't heard anything about that at all. I think they should have been with the contract extension on the horizon. You get to the end of this year and you don't have it done, and then again you're looking at letting him walk for nothing, or worst case scenario, try like you said, trying to find a quarterback in the first round or later on in that next draft. I don't see it's going to happen. I think they're going to get this extension done. I don't think it's going to be for $18 million. I think it's going to be for around $14 million. And I think Alex should sign that. I don't think the Chiefs should do it, but that's another story, of course.
Now we're 2 drafts into the John Dorsey era here in Kansas City. In Dorsey we trust has been the mantra, but 2 drafts into it, are you guys still on board with that?
I was never on board with John Dorsey to begin with. People wanted to say what he did in Green Bay. I believe that was Ted Thompson, their general manager. He's the main man over there. I believe Dorsey was just kind of bringing him sodas and cutting the crust off his sandwiches and kind of trying to make Ted Thompson happy and watching Ted Thompson's genius take over. I do not like the first 2 Dorsey drafts. Time will tell. It's still early on both of them, but from what I see, I do not like either one.
Ted Thompson, a crust-off guy. I didn't know that. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt like Matt King did, trying to cut it into triangles. Well, the last question for you guys, and then I'll let you go. And we are talking with Noah Groninger, Clint Schweitzer of the Outsider Sports Show. All right, make everyone do it. You got to get it on record eventually if you're in this business. What is your too early Chiefs prediction for the season? Do you have high hopes for the year? What do you think they're going to finish up at?
Well, if you look at the schedule, this is a brutal schedule on paper. In the NFL, you never know how a schedule's actually going to play out once the games start, injuries start mounting, and disaster strikes. But as you look at it right now, I've got the Chiefs at 7-9. I think that the roster took a step back. We lost 3 starters on the offensive line. You lose Kendrick Lewis in the secondary. Of course, that doesn't really hurt you too much, of course. But the Chiefs lost Dexter McCluster, a Pro Bowl kick returner, and trying to replace him with younger guys now. I think the roster went backwards. The rest of the AFC West, I think, either stood pat or got better. And so I see 7-9, and I think Noah here is right around there, or right around the same record.
Yeah, I've got 8-8 at best. Best case scenario for this team. Like Clint said, we got worse, losing John Asamoah, Brandon Albert, Dexter McCluster. Those were 2 Pro Bowl players in McCluster and Albert. And if we're going to keep Alex Smith, much harder schedule. We're not going to play the easy schedule like we did last year. We're not going to face all the backup quarterbacks we faced in the first 9 weeks. And this thing is just going to be real bad, real quick when you're going against the NFC West. AFC West teams getting better. I see a 7-9 as well, just as Clint does.
Well, guys, thank you so much for the time. That's Noah Groniger, Clint Schweitzer from the Outsider Sports Show. Get on their Facebook page, the Outsider Sports Show, on Facebook. They're both on Twitter as well. Guys, thank you so much for the time.
Hey, guys, appreciate it.
Not a problem. Have a good night.